Do you think AI is? Do you think that's coming for architecture?
Yeah, I think it's like I said. I think it will. But even if, and I think at first, it won't be able to make buildings as good as a very good architect. It'll be able to do reasonable buildings much quicker that can then be polished up by architects. So, and if you're competing, say you've got a company and one architect starts using AI to produce drawings and things, schedules, and you're in a free market that you're gonna, and then other companies using humans.
Yeah.
Actually been reading Life 3.0.
Oh, I think you mentioned that.
Did I talk about this last time? I mean, we already mentioned this.
What's the
I'm probably
premise?
going to say the same thing I said last time.
What's the
But no, it's just well, his premise is that that AI is like, well, Life 1.0 is like basic organisms, maybe even just mammals and things. The humans is like the second version of life, first form of intelligent life. Well, second form of intelligent life is humans, and then from us becomes third form of life, which is this artificial AI. But he said something interesting. Something that like, if you're combining artificial general intelligence with advanced robotics, you could create an artificial human, right, that can outcompete humans in all forms of life and just basically make humans unemployable. Because why would you hire a real person when you can get a robot that's just like a human but way more intelligent, doesn't need to sleep and doesn't need to be paid?
Do you think? I think AI is going to be the next kind of industrial revolution. Because then it was people were on the farmland, and then they'd say, well, we don't need you because machines will do this.
Yeah.
And then now it's kind of, well, we don't need people to operate the machines because the machine operates it. We don't need someone supervising it. But I think that the real scary thing is that AI will be so, the jobs surrounding AI will be so complex that it's not like you're going from the farmland to the person who's just hitting a box or just hitting a screw or something, doing a very hands-on but non-very academic or intellectual process.
It's
Whereas
creative.
if something is with AI, it requires a lot of software experience and tech experience and whatnot. So I don't know if there will be that transition of, well, the new jobs are just going to be AI jobs. We just have to adapt accordingly. I don't know if everyone can adapt accordingly.
No, I don't think so. I think that it'll affect. It won't just be low skilled jobs, but those will be affected. But more like lawyers, doctors, all these things that require knowledge, and AI is going to know more than a human.
Right. Yeah. I think jobs that require some sort of data entry, like input output sort of things, very black and white things.
Yeah.
Like law, they're toast.
Yeah. Probably like 95%. Well, I was thinking with architecture. Say you have the
But that's why I asked architecture, because there's still a creativity component to that, right?
Yeah, but increasingly AI can do. I don't know if it could be like, if you think about like famous architects, like Frank Lloyd Wright or something. They have a particular style, and I don't know if you could, if something was.
Because couldn't a machine just copy it?
Yeah, but sometimes architects try and copy famous architects, but there's something off about it. It's like if they try to copy an artist or something. There's a very specific thing that's. I think like the House of Parliament. That was the guy called Pugin, very famous Victorian architect. House of Parliament, it's like a very unique building for its time. It was a neo-Gothic style, but could an AI come up with something really original like that? Or would it just do like, you could tell it like Gothic Parliament built, but I don't know, maybe it would do it, but I don't know, I feel like there's something specific about that guy that made that building. It's like his vision coming from his brain. If it's like a generic AI brain, it's just, I don't know.
Because it's always drawing from existing data.
AI images always look weird because there's something off about them.
Yeah, the color's off or something, the shape or something.
And it's sort of.
That's what I mean. That I think if there's.
But will it get better to a point where it's?
I think it'll get a passing grade, but will it really displace all those jobs? There's an element of human creativity. But I don't know, some people are like, you have no idea how great this thing is.
Yeah. And where it's just going to get better and better.
Maybe, even if it's like, okay, that building is really original, we don't care anymore, because this
or maybe it will be able to come up with like really original things. But like in architecture, there's certain architects or architectural offices have their particular house style and things like that. If it was AIs, would an AI have its own style? Like it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird to think about. I helped a fellow with some advice on where he should go, what he should move, and where he should check out, and open up for gold storage and whatnot. And he was really into using AI for everything. It was like his mentor. And I was pleased that the advice I gave him was the exact advice that the AI gave. But on the other hand, I realized that any sort of consulting, I think, is ultimately toast.
I may have told you this already, forget to that. I'm teaching architecture software, and I had one of my students sent me an email, asked me a very specific question about modelling topography and things. And I knew the answer, but I thought, I'll see what ChatGPT says. I copy pasted the students, and it gave the answer I would have given, but in more detail. So I just thought, well, and I was like, well, there's no point in me writing the response, because this is even better than I would have said it. It's better than what I would have said. So I just copy, and then it's like, well, if that student had just he didn't need to email me. He could just gone straight to the AI.
I've seen videos of students passing Vaseline to cover during a test to cover a camera, and they were using the questions on their. I don't know why they had an online quiz in the lecture room, but they were copying the question and then using an AI pop-up to get the answer.
It's pretty stupid giving them internet access. When I was at school, all the exams were done pen and paper.
Yeah, me too.
It's just kind of ridiculous that they don't still do that. The idea that everything has to be on a computer.
Yeah, I know.
What's wrong with old-fashioned?
I saw one professor was saying no computers, just all pen and paper. And to take the piss out of the professor, the guy brought in an old typewriter in the back. It was ting 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 like that. But yeah, any sort of what's the answer? Where are the zero tax places?
Yeah.
These are the zero tax places. If you want to learn more, there is a little nuance, and you can just do it, and it will find it.
I've been using ChatGPT for stuff like that. I had an update to my sound driver that stopped the sound from working, and I was looking on forums and I couldn't fix it. I managed to fix it myself, and there was something I always had to. I just kept asking ChatGPT the questions, and it was way better than trying to read online. Trying to find out, which is what I originally tried to do, because I couldn't fix it. I was like, okay, just try ChatGPT, and just persistently kept asking. I would never have worked out on my own, because I'm not really a computer expert.
Well, it would have taken you a while.
Or I would have had to go
finding the forum with that question.
Yeah. Or go and give it. But also, I didn't want to go and give my PC to a Paraguayan.
Right.
So that's why I was determined to do it myself.
Take all your crypto.
Yeah. But it's scary. But yeah, that's like IT expertise. That.
Actually,
it's just an expert in every single subject. You could ask it anything, and it will.
I don't know. I came up with. I just thought of it. About 12 different things I see for the future. Just give me a moment.
Grab some water.
Yeah. Right. So I came up with a list of how I see things for the future. There's a fly in here. Gonna see if you agree or disagree. So doctors are going either to be automated, or they'll adopt telemedicine. Through an online sort of video call.
Probably both.
Both, yeah.
Like a virtual AI online doctor.
Did I tell you the story when I went to the doctor in Canada?
No.
With the iPad?
No. Well, you just looked stuff out on the iPad, did you?
She came in and very robotically she asked me a bunch of questions, and I was trying to tell her, but I haven't been sleeping good here, so I was throwing in little things that could maybe help with what's going on. I don't know what it was. I think I had a sore shoulder, neck pain or something. And she was hardly looking at me. She was just entering things in the iPad. iPad, and she kind of went like this and put the iPad to the side, and I could see the prescription that it was pumping out for her to give me. And it was something like, it was just a pain medication or something. There was 2 of them. And I was thinking, why do I need her, really?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah, she's,
I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of that.
it'd be great if I could own that iPad. And it's just regulation, I guess. That's the thing.
The only danger is that if you give symptoms into ChatGPT or something, they'll tell you probably have every disease, you know. So take this, and then you get to big pharma.
And then that's the
Describing
danger,
things.
because it could say, well, this is the medication you want, whereas it might not be the best. Robots are going to be increasingly popular and common. They will do the jobs of fast food, service-oriented jobs.
Robots are going to be, I think so, yeah.
But that people, well, I think they will kind of take over, say, McDonald's and whatnot.
Sure.
Starbucks, but do you think they will be kind of like the new pet?
I think people will have domestic servant robots.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it's just going to be cooking and cleaning and...
Will it be just like a new nanny sort of thing?
Yeah.
Like that'll be the ultimate flex for rich people?
Initially, and then it'll
It's going to be private security and cleaning robots.
Yeah, I mean, security robot. I was thinking about Paraguay again. It's a sort of good thing for Paraguay. You've got a young population. There's kind of full employment here. There's so many jobs. If you want a job, it's low pay, you can get it. Security, domestic jobs, there's loads, but those could easily be replaced by robots. And robots are just more reliable than humans. They don't get sick, they don't take a day off, they're not going to rob you.
I know.
Yeah. Suppose you could get a virus, that's the only trouble. Then they might start robbing you.
Could be hacked.
Maybe
that's a new industry.
But what I can really see happening, and I think we saw this at the start with the lockdowns and the gene therapy injections, is that I think there's going to be a group of people, maybe several groups, that decide they don't want to be part of modern society. And it's going to be, when you had these vaccine passports and things, it will be like, whether it's CBDC, vaccine passport, there'll come a point where you'll have to kind of decide, am I in or am I out?
Yeah.
And there'll be some people who'll say, no, I'm not going to put up with this. They'll be the minority. And I think perhaps those people will be a bit, already, like the Amish and the Mennonites are already groups that have done that. But it may be groups that kind of, it's like, what level do you set the technology at? That kind of say, okay, we don't want to.
Oh, right. Let's go back to when it was 1970 or.
Yeah. Well, I think it's myself. I mean, kids. If I had kids, when I have kids, it's like you want like a 12-year-old to access the internet. Just the stuff that's on there, smartphones and social media. And I kind of think, well, wouldn't it be great to live in a little society where none of the kids are like on the internet until they're, maybe you say until they're 18 or something, or maybe you just, well, it's hard because as a libertarian, you don't say, well, you mustn't use this, and but at the same time, I feel very fortunate that the age that I'm at, I grew up before that social media, Facebook kind of came literally when I was like 18, 19. And yeah, when I was a kid, they were like Nokia phones, but you could only just send text messages on them. They weren't, smartphone. All that came after I was an adult. So I was kind of like the last generation that kids would play football, and kids now, they're just sitting on their phones all the time. I think that maybe if you got a group of people together, they could, because actually a lot of this technology isn't, they call it progress, but it isn't progress. There are certain things that, like myself, I don't use social media, and I think that I actually don't, some people argue, oh, there's benefits to it. I actually don't think the benefits are in any way worth it. I think
of social media.
Yeah, I think we'd be
so
far
if
better
you had to
without
have
it.
social media, or had not, would be superior.
I'd rather live in, like, if we were going to create like a community, I'd rather live in a community where you said, if you're going to create rules, say like, yeah, we don't use any hacker shop, any social media at all, just because well, personally, I just think life's better without it. There's lots of, just because something, I think there's this tendency, it's like this, it's almost like religious thing to think that all new technology is always a benefit, or you get this kind of centrist view of like, which some people say, it depends how you use it. If you're kind of careful and whereas I kind of just think, well, there are some things that
it's good or bad.
Yeah, it's more black and white. It's like, I think social media is an objective negative.
Do you think, going back to how people are going to have to choose, because in Europe there's been many protests over it's kind of continual over the last 5-6 years, but I was just thinking, if I was in the seat of the mercantile or the elite or whatever, what are they doing? They're just in some tower having a drink, watching these people march down the street, and nothing is really changing. And they're just, oh, okay, well, 4 months from now they pay a little more tax. So even though, I think it's very clever on how people can just say, that's outrageous, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then they pull back, and then they hit you with a new thing. So I don't know if there will be a point where people break. If you present the looting, the stealing from them, and robbing them of their freedom bit by bit, I don't know if there's going to be a point where people are
It just
saying,
depends to some extent if they can keep the bread and circuses. Like, if there's some serious supply chain issue with food and people, that would break it, or life. I think if you get a lot of young men that just feel like there's no hope and they've got nothing to lose, and I don't think we're actually that far from that point in the Western countries. No, you're a young man, you can't get on a house, and there's all this propaganda, especially you're a young white male, you're going to be told you're evil, and yet you're going to face discrimination with DEI hiring and things like that. So I think when young men feel like they don't even have the slightest possibility of gaining status, and if you've got a lot of them, that's a very explosive situation.
Yeah, then that's volatile. But then, do you think there's more people, or do you think people are having a thought of binding together to fight the existing corruption, let's say, in the United Kingdom, or do you think they're thinking, oh, I gotta get to X country in Latin America because that's where they're...
I think it's both. I think there are.
But do they know that, oh wait, I can actually just pay 10% tax and then that's it? Do they know that exists?
I think it is known. I think, weirdly, Dubai is kind of more well known for that. I only discovered Paraguay shortly before I came here. This is territorial tax. I think people, because I guess Dubai's been, I don't know, people have been doing that.
Just the marketing of Dubai.
Yeah, and I think they've been doing it for a long time, going out to the Middle East, going back to like the 70s of engineers and things.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's two kinds of people. There's those people who kind of want to stay and fight, and there's those who think.
But that's my point. Is that at least for Canadians, fighting is just tweeting and Facebooking harder. So it's this sort of thing, like you.
Or they believe in the democratic system, whereas it's like me, I'm completely cynical. Even though you see like reform rising, if they get anywhere, the system will capture them. And they'll just become like another Tory party.
That's what I said.
That's the trouble.
It's you're still playing a football game. So if you want to change the pitch to another sort of sport, you're still in that stadium. And it would actually destroy the stadium. And I don't think anyone is really thinking of abolishing essentially everything. And if you are, then
because if you don't completely change it, like I said, they'll just. This is what I think we're going to happen with that specifically, is that a lot of the people, the Tory politicians, will defect into reform and then just push it further to the left, and then it might have a couple of things like more right, but nothing of any real meaning.
No. Maybe that's what another sort of world war will be about. It won't purely be financial. But it'll be about getting another. Because after World War I, all monarchies were really destroyed.
You're right. It's war, global conflict that fundamentally changes. Like we've been living in I don't know if you've heard of the expression, the boomer truth regime.
No.
You know, there's a guy calls himself academic agent. I can't remember his real name. Naveen something. He's a Welsh Iranian guy, but he talks about this the post-World War ideology is the boomer truth regime.
Oh, I see.
And it's basically that Hitler is the devil. Because before the war, when someone wanted to call someone evil, they called them the devil. Right?
Yeah.
That was the more Christian idea. And then in secular society, then it becomes Hitler is the devil and the Nazis are evil. So it's like whenever anyone is, if it's Putin or whoever, they're always given that role. So when you hear someone say, "Oh, you're like Hitler," you should, in your mind, say what they're actually saying to you is, "You're like the devil."
I see.
And it's this whole kind of order that the West is the good guys, all our enemies are the Nazis, just in a new form. Yeah.
But how do that? Because the U.S. gained immense control after World War II, right? So do you think that World War III is the change of political governance?
World War III could be quite interesting because, so thinking that from the Western perspective, we Western countries are going to effectively be in like civil war with these different groups fighting. And just thinking about like the Spanish Civil War, where you had Stalin supporting the Phalangists, the left in Spanish, I forget their name, and then Franco was supported by Hitler. So it's like if you get these different factions emerging in these Western countries, you may find like the US supporting one side, China supporting another, Israel will be on the US side, but it'll be interesting to see how
the whole World War III will be insofar it's a hot war, shooting in that, it'll be a proxy war everywhere.
Yeah, it's hard to, you've also, you've got rising powers, haven't you? You've got a falling power, the US. Probably what China wants to do is avoid a war and just wait, because from a Chinese perspective, all they've got to do, and any other rising power, is just kind of wait, just let the West continue to destroy itself.
Yeah, I think Russia's doing the same game plan.
So they probably don't want to get actively involved, or they might support a particular side if it's hard to predict, isn't it? It's like the people, if you're having this conversation before World War One, how could you really have predicted, or World War Two, what was going to happen? You might have thought, oh, Germany could dominate Europe, that could have been the outcome that people were expecting. The opposite happened, although they did eventually, economically. But yeah, I actually think that going back to that idea of like it being kind of split, I think you're seeing it already, like there's going to be a kind of reaction to this kind of runaway left-wing ideas that you've had in the West, almost like equal opposite reaction. You're going to get people returning to tradition and religion, and maybe even
you're seeing that now, actually, with younger generations.
Yeah, and this degenerate lifestyle, people going out drinking, partying, hedonists. I think there'll be increasing people saying we're going to do this, we're going to go back, and I think that will become one faction in whatever. I don't know. It's so hard to really. Got Islam as well. It could just be a mess.
I think that's for sure.
Many sides. You might get weird alliances and things. Queers for Islam.
But then what are
against the KFC?
What are people fighting for? What do the, let's say, the puppeteers, the people what do they want? What's their problem? What's keeping them up at night? Like the Rockefeller families and all these very rich families ultimately own all banks, which own all the assets. What is their problem? Because that problem, I think, is going to be the real origin of any sort of international.
But what's their aim? Is it in their aim just to retain power and money?
They have that,
but they want to retain it.
So how are they enforcing it? It's got to be through the money, right? It's got to be through these cycles of deflation, inflation, and this volatility of essentially through the money robbing the wealth of the, let's say, commoner.
Yeah.
But they're hitting a point where I don't think there's any more juice that they can really squeeze.
I know.
If you look at just inflation, if you look at taxation, you look at productivity,
Yeah.
it's all kind of honing towards zero quickly.
Or maybe they think they can save it through AI, that they can keep the economy going. I think maybe like I was saying with the facial recognition cameras and things, maybe they think they can use AI to continue expanding GDP and then have, well, and also use AI and cameras and things to create a sort of digital control grid to stop the plebs from revolting, keep them under control. Birth rates are going down anyway.
So that way
I think they just want to retain their status
without any opposition.
Yeah, they don't want is an uprising and.
But the uprising would only be a threshold if you hit a point of no more production, and no more production could be possible if there was squeezed to basically nothing. If you were not earning enough where it made sense to produce, then people would go hungry quickly, and then they would uprise. So I think that's the problem, is the money. Like how do they kick the can down the road over?
I'm not sure I'm following.
Like with debts, like who's going to buy the debt from the U.S. Treasury? Who can afford that debt?
Yeah,
like,
I
think
the
that
system is ticking time bomb. Eventually, it's but whether they have a plan for what to do when the dollar, maybe they do, maybe they're positioned in gold and things like you were saying, and they'll just have the wealth transferring back to them.
I heard a idea of so like the U.S. owes Japan X amount of billion, and Japan owes U.S. and vice versa. Japan owes Italy owes Germany owes the U.S. and it's just kind of
right. Yeah, it's just getting around.
We all owe each other. So, do you think it's possible for them to agree to wipe a proportional amount of debt from each other? Imagine we go out to a pub and
they both owe each other.
like you owe me for that biscuit, let's say, and then you buy me a pint, and we both owe each other, but we both have to do something later, and we need money for it. So if we were to actually take the money out of our wallet and hand it to each other, we wouldn't have anything for this other thing, and they, the puppeteers, would realize that not them, they're golden, but the control is dependent on this system continuing and wealth trickling, being withdrawn to them. But if we don't have cash in our wallet to pay for the next thing, then perhaps we could just say, look, you owe me, I owe you, let's just cancel it out so that we have enough cash to buy the next thing over here. So that the US could forgive Japan, who could forgive Italy, who could forgive Germany, and that they could, in unison, agree to drop their debt.
I suppose they could. The trouble is you'd have to, it relies upon every country agreeing.
Every country in their sphere. So that Russia wouldn't be invited, African states wouldn't be invited.
I see.
And then any movement, because you could say, well, what's the point on paying any debt again? I'm just going to hold it long enough until I'm forgiven. That's when they introduce a central bank digital currency, perhaps make an expiry date on your currency, and then keep your wealth in England, in Canada, in the US. So you don't have the inflation problem anymore. You have a freedom problem, because if you have any money, you have your money, it's fine, but you got to spend it by 2026. That way they don't have the inflation problem, because inflation is just a proxy of spending, and spending is a proxy of debt, right? They don't have the debt, they just killed it.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, what's the downside of wiping out, like agreeing to? I could only think that people, investors, or banks would get scared and just say, well, I don't have confidence in this, and run. And you could keep it there with capital controls.
Zoom, yeah. Lose the bond market.
I guess, yeah. You could lose the bond market. But then who's the other bond market that you're going to go to? So I think the US has been really clever, because they've been just sinking, but they've made sure they've been sinking at a slower pace relative to everyone else. Everyone else is a little deeper.
Yeah.
And I think that they've done this with the dollar, because they've gotten everyone. Who's the Peter Schiff, who I think he calls it the dollar heroin
Right.
idea or something where everyone's addicted to dollars
Mm-hmm.
and they can't just go off of them.
Yeah.
So anyway, we started with robots. Well, I don't know how we got there, but privacy problems with every. So this is another issue that I see for the future. Privacy problems with every single transaction. So there'll be a privacy concern for the storage of information, access of information, and your personal whereabouts. So yeah, basically every transaction you do, everything you see, everywhere you walk. So that'll be a future concern.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's almost there already, isn't it? Your phone's always tracking your location and things. It's very like the way people have again social media now, but you go out and show pictures of yourself, and then everyone, well, I don't, but they publish photos of themselves, and then anyone can see like where you've been, what you're up to. It's really invasive, and I know like with dating that the first thing people do, not me, but other people, is look up the Instagram of the person.
Right.
And this is something I actually hate, this idea that you, rather than, and you make a judgment about them, and judgment probably accurate to be fair, but it's like rather than actually meeting someone and getting to you, like, okay, I'm going to see your history, what you do, and then you have to sit to make it. I just think it's horrible that you've got this. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. For me, it just takes away some of
I think because everything is so
interest of life,
global, and so, I mean, have you ever gotten on a flight? I'm sure you have. Gotten on a flight where you've transcended continents.
Yeah.
And then you go, wait a minute, I was in South America.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a weird feeling.
Yeah, it's weird. Like when I go back and forth to England, it's just odd because it's just like
if I
a
was
day of
born,
travel, then you're
yeah,
suddenly in like a totally different.
not hours. You're really at hours. If I was born years ago, I don't know, it would have been 3 freaking weeks.
Yeah.
I would have had lice. I would have been hungry. There would have been a psychotic man heckling me for my gold coin. There would have been a risk that we all drown or starve. And here it's just like, well, I mean, there's no good movies on here. It sucks. And you just get a flight to. So maybe because we're so global, there's such a sample in the dating market where that's just the easiest sort of thing. You try to categorize people based on like, oh, they're super.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
F1.
I suppose it's just everything's about efficiency these days. So it's just more efficient to kind of find out everything.
Have you seen? I always get Godfather and Scarface mixed up. I think it was Godfather when he went to Italy, small town in Italy. Anyway, he went there, and there's this beautiful Italian woman in this small town, and they lived very modestly. There wasn't really anything to do. I think it was just after the war, so everything was poor. And basically, it was kind of agreed upon, or implied, I guess, in the scene that if this woman didn't go with Al Pacino, she wasn't going to get married. Like it was like he was the only viable, like her age and whatnot.
Yeah,
so she had to take the opportunity, and it's now the opposite of that. It's just
sort of the
excess
paradox of choice, where you have so much choice you can't make any choice.
Yeah, it's like a lion trying to get a zebra.
For most of human history, most people married their second cousins.
Really?
Yeah, because we were living in small communities, so everyone was kind of closely related. And that's actually, it's interesting because that's kind of like a Goldilocks zone between the more closely related you are to your husband or wife, it's the more of your genes that will be passed on to your children. But if you're like cousins or brother or sister, you're gonna have like
major deficits.
But the second cousin is far enough apart that you're not get genetic problems, but as close as you can be. And they've actually done studies to show that people are very often attracted to their second cousins.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I had a crush on, I think, what worked out to be a third cousin.
There you go. Yeah.
I think it was a third. It was like cousin plus removed or a third. I don't know how it works exactly, but yeah, growing up. Yeah, do you think royalty back in the day kind of knew that?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're doing it for the same reason, aren't they? They're trying to, well, they didn't consciously think about it, but in terms of genes want to survive. So
Yeah.
the
I'm just
more
gonna
they
get coffee.
can.
Do you want a Coke?
No, okay.
You good? Yeah, that's you know what I was looking at, how Chile is so dangerous now. And Chileans are not, it's kind of this hidden place that doesn't really get much chatter. Maybe because I'm not fluent in Spanish, I haven't been able to really understand. But whenever you ask people here, have you been to Chile? Do you know something about Chile? They're just like, no, it's kind of interesting. It's like this mystery. But their crime has gone wild due to
Right.
Venezuelans.
Really?
There's Venezuelan gangs, or just Venezuelan just citizens. And then Colombian gangs have moved in.
Yeah.
And they have an election this year, and it's the number one point that they're going to be voting over. All political candidates running are all basically promising to deal with this issue.
Yeah.
And it's...
Why are they going there? Why aren't they coming here? Here they need to come to. I'm glad they're not, but...
I don't know, maybe there was just a route, Gabriel Boric. Maybe he just had to deal with Maduro or something. Maduro emptied the prisons from there. Now, a lot of them went up to the US, as you know. There's a decent amount in Mexico. But I didn't realize it. It's a huge percent. A lot of Haitians, Colombians.
In Chile?
Yeah, it's a huge percentage. It's
So
like
they're
10% of the
basically
population.
doing like what the European countries have done. They've just imported loads of...
Yeah, and it's not
criminals
getting
and-
any sort of coverage at all.
You've got leftist government.
Yeah, really much so, like a Trudeau in there. But all of the political candidates running now, they're all rights. They say right, far right, libertarian. I think the little guy is kind of like a Malay. He's a younger guy, has the most chance. So that's why I was looking at it. Like maybe Chile is going to turn around. But for the time being, I mean, I've seen some videos, and they're having knife fights in the street.
Really?
All through.
I have a couple of friends who are there. They sent me a video on the coast. It seemed to be really enjoying it. They're
I
just
think
traveling.
relative to the region, it's very safe. But relative to Chile, it's very dangerous. Like it's gone really south. Well, the other thing I mentioned to you earlier, if their concern is retaining control and they can, have you ever thought of this? That what would have to happen for the CIA to lose control, or MI6, or one of these extremely influential agencies?
Yeah, no.
Maybe it's a pseudo question. Maybe it can't be answered.
No, I think it could. I mean, they are the equivalent of, like KGB or Stasi. They're increasingly like these. They're like the secret police, aren't they? In reality, there's not that much difference between them. But those like the Stasi obviously lost their power when East Germany collapsed. If the government collapsed, then the secret police would then be, or the secret service, whatever, they would then be in a situation where they wouldn't. Power is always just an illusion, isn't it? That they wouldn't have the authority to continue what they're doing, and probably, as what happened in East Germany, the new regime would then dissolve them, regard them as untrustworthy.
So the government would have to collapse. Because I was thinking, again, getting back to the dollar, if dollars meant nothing. This is what I was saying about Venezuela the other day, that Maduro should have been killed and removed long ago, but he has oil. So it doesn't matter what the currency does, because he can always trade oil for dollars, or just oil for whatever he wants. And then he can always have a flow of money to pay his guards, or pay his intelligence, or whatever. Or he can give the oil for the intelligence from, say, the Russians, so he can remain in power. So you'd have to imagine that dollars, I guess, are the main form of support for these agencies. So if the dollar went on the fritz relative to everything else, would that bring down the CIA's ability to influence? Or it doesn't have to be the CIA, it could be any intelligence agency. And then it gets back to the they problem. Because if they're censoring certain people and allowing others and pushing certain narratives, then you have to imagine that's in line with the they and what they would want, somewhat. So if they can't do that, if the CIA cannot do that, then that would hurt or be problematic for the elites controlling things.
Although I think like the elites are gonna one way or another make sure that military and people like the people that keep them in power, they'll do everything to make sure they get paid. Pay them in gold. I don't know.
Yeah, so it comes back to gold. They'll have to return to gold.
To pay them in something, assets, or they'd be the last people not to be paid.
To be
Yeah, because they're the guys keeping
them protected.
Yeah, it would really have to be a disastrous situation for them not to.
But that's what I think is because you ask anyone this, we'll have another 4 years of that government. But it's like that's just surface level. That's TV stuff.
Yeah,
that doesn't really.
The deep state is.
Yeah. So what is their issue exactly? Is it really that people are, I don't know, posting something on Instagram or something like that's? I don't think they really care because that doesn't really do all that much. What makes their day? Again, I'm just saying, just an arbitrary definition of they or their pronouns. What would cause them trouble? And it's got to be that the value of they can't continue to monetize the debt. I would think. I don't know. That's me talking aloud. And that's why I think that there has to be a point where we have to return to gold. Gold is the new yardstick. Sort of.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's right. I think eventually the dollar is inevitably going to explode. Just have to return to gold or Bitcoin, hyper Bitcoinization. I don't think so. I think it'll be gold. But
no, I've been thinking that Bitcoin is. If we upload this, I'm going to piss off so many.
Yeah, that's fine. The max.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I think Bitcoin is just an offshoot because Bitcoin's price is mostly Tether. It's Tether that are printed, and then Tether goes into the cryptocurrencies, right? I mentioned this before too. That where does Tether get its money? Well, Tether's, I think the largest position on Tether's balance sheet are U.S. Treasuries. So it's a perfectly clever thing where you can just create dollar 2.0 and then just offload. It's just like a release valve. There's too much pressure, too much inflation, so then you just release it, and then it flows into this thing called Bitcoin. And people are saying, "Oh, it's going up. It's real investor money." People are bullish.
So you think when the dollar collapses, Bitcoin will
Bitcoin at that point will be worth a lot.
Right.
You'd think, because before it collapses, see, it's probably going to be a melt up, right? Because they're just going to continue to monetize more debt unless they bring in gold and they say now per ounce of gold it's this, but everyone is screwed because everyone's holding dollars, which are worth less.
Yeah,
I don't know. A lot of I don't knows.
Yeah, just don't hold fiat currency.
I know. Yeah.
So it's their money. Protest the monopoly the government has on money. Convert it into other things.
All right. Well, I have other things to cover, but perhaps another day. So the trends, mass migration is definitely a trend. Africans, Europe to Asia, and Americas, Europeans. Inflation baked into cake, that's what we just said. And an IQ crisis, or global IQ is just dropping.
It's like idiocracy. Have you ever watched A Clockwork Orange?
No.
You should watch that.
Have you?
Yeah, a few times.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it. I can't believe I haven't seen it.
But that world that he creates in that is described as that an anarcho-tyranny.
Is that where you got it?
Yeah, may well have. I don't think they use the term directly, but it is described to be an anarcho-tyranny because the guy in it, the main character, Alex Delage, he's like a delinquent with his gang members and stuff, but it's all how they're not. There's this scene where there's this minister that goes into this prison and he's talking to the prison governor, and he's talking about how the prison's overcrowded and how the governor wants more space for them. more cells. It just sends to him and says, "Oh, we can't possibly do that. We need to empty the prisons because we'll soon need all those cells for political prisoners."
For no ones.
And this was like in the 70s. This was made, and I'm like, that's pretty much describing Britain today, letting out all the dangerous criminals and making space for political criminals.
That's Venezuela. That's what they've done.
But we should watch that scene because it's on YouTube. It's very well. It's only like 2 minutes. But yeah, this is something else you wanted to. I'm a bit tired today.
We've been watching the show just since you mentioned shows. What's the name? It's on Servitude. Oh man, I just had it at the tip of my tongue. I'll have to ask Cynthia, but it's this show where people. Oh, Severance. Have you seen that?
No.
It's really interesting. Sci-fi meets North Korea meets employee world, and
Right.
it's
Interesting.
it's interesting.
It's Severance. It's called.
Yeah,
Was it on Netflix or something?
It's on Apple TV. We just got through the first season, and I won't give it away, but people have decided. Well, I don't know if this is going to give it away. No. People have decided that they're going to separate their memory, which in some sense is themselves, between
Yes.
work life and
Pleasure. No.
outside life. So one is called the innie, one is called the outie.
Isn't the innie like constantly depressed because all he knows is work?
Yeah, but maybe he's happy about it
Yeah.
because that's his world.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we have to meet quota.
Yeah.
That so maybe he's kind of, and again it's like what's he doing there? He's at work. That's all he knows.
Yeah.
He doesn't know the outside world. And then the outside world. So let's say the innie was I don't know. Let's say he's banging his knee. That's not a scene, but or someone's punching him. He's just going, I'm sore from work or whatever. The outie doesn't realize that someone's punching him. He has no memory of it. He just thinks, I must be lifting something heavy at work. Or maybe the company will say, you know, here's a little bonus for lifting those heavy boxes. That's why your chest is a little sore or something.
Right.
So they don't know each other.
Right.
And it's this kind of like, well, another thing I don't want to give away, but it relates to what we're seeing now that's being pushed. Maybe that would be a good lead into if we have another call going with the next tyrannical measures sort of thing. Because it's like the employee life plus sci-fi, because we're not yet there, plus like North Korea level control, plus this thing that Elon Musk is pushing. You should watch it. It's interesting.
Sounds good. It's good to have some actually good sci-fi TV. It's hardly anything these days.
Yeah, I don't